An ancient Egyptian animal cemetery, a dog archaeologist, the remains of a Roman victim of a crucifixion, mummies with golden tongues, sacred ancient Mayan artifacts, and much more await you in this video. Watch the video to the end, you will definitely like it. Hi friend, you are on the KirTop channel. Dog archaeologist. A dog named Mesa became known all over the world. The pet owner went on a regular walk, which turned out into a unique of a clay pot. Even at first glance, from an archaeological point of view, it could be of considerable importance for the heritage of the Czech Republic. The container was full of coins. Despite the fact that the pot went missing about 100 years ago, it was very interesting who is its owner. Until recently, in the Czech Republic in the city of Zlín, Zlín region, the most ordinary dog named Mesa lived with its owner. They, like all other similar couples, strolled through parks, alleys, and to the wooded area. On one of these seemingly unremarkable days, another walk became a worldwide sensation. The pet found a clay pot with coins. Naturally, the dog's owner handed over the ceramics to the administration in charge of the Wallachian Regional Museum. However, before opening this cache, they decided to transport it to the Valashskaya Mogilev Hospital for the purpose of diagnostics using a tomography machine. As a result of the examination, it was established that 374 coins were placed inside the urn. Prague pennies made of silver dating back to the 14th century. Specialists will need to conduct a considerable number of examinations that will help establish the exact date of minting, the composition of the material, and the method of production. As soon as all the comprehensive information is received, the treasure will be placed in the exhibition halls of the museum. Ancient Egyptian Pet Cemetery. During excavations near the famous ancient Egyptian port city of Berenice, a mysterious animal cemetery was discovered dating back to the 1st century AD. It originated in the dunes northwest of the important ancient port of Berenice on the Red Sea, from which the movement of ships arriving from East Africa, Europe, and India can be seen from afar. Scientists studied 90% of nearly 600 burials of cats, dogs, and macaques, some of which were brought from outside Africa. Several characteristics make this discovery unique and mysterious. First, none of the animals were mummified, as in other archaeological sites. There was also a wide variety of types and funeral rites. Also, unlike other burials, there were no people among the animals. While animals obviously held a special place in the society, thinking of them the way we think of pets today may not be entirely correct. These companion animals probably played a more utilitarian role than modern pampered pets. However, the animals were treated well after death. They are accompanied by handicrafts such as pottery, believed to protect them, and the creatures also have jewelry such as beaded necklaces of stone, glass, earthenware, and seashells. They were all found in a sleeping position. Other experts say this find is indeed new. This is something completely different from what we see elsewhere, says Beedi Couperi, an archaeologist at the Royal Belgian Institute for Natural Sciences in Brussels, who was not involved in the project. According to her research, ships that entered and left these ports usually had cats on board for pest control, suggesting that they may have been partly working animals. Beeswax traces in ancient African pots. Honey was the first sweetener used by humankind, and thanks to this new discovery, we now have evidence that ancient people in sub-Saharan Africa ate it as early as 3,500 years ago. Archaeologists at Goethe University in Frankfurt and chemists at the University of Bristol in England have discovered traces of beeswax in pottery fragments from the Nok culture in central Nigeria, which are now the earliest direct evidence of honey harvesting on the continent. Known for its exquisite terracotta sculptures, the Nok culture has existed since about 1500 BC, before the beginning of our era. Pottery is one of the best ways to learn about the Nok people and their diet, as the soil in this region is so acidic that bones and other organic debris are usually not preserved. This is a wonderful example of how biomolecular information extracted from prehistoric pottery combined with ethnographic data provided the first insight into the ancient honey hunt in West Africa 3,500 years ago. This study carried out molecular analysis of food debris on clay pots. This method involved involves grinding small pieces of pottery found in archaeological sites and chemically extracting lipids, fats, oils, and waxes from the natural world to create a biomolecular fingerprint of what foods were cooked in pots. Using gas chromatography, chemists were able to detect stable chemical compounds, such as fatty acids that were excreted in food and animal products and persisted in the pores of the vessel walls for thousands of years. And while no one expected to find beeswax, it was on 1/3 of the cookware tested. Previously, evidence of prehistoric use of honey was limited to petroglyphs on several continents, including images of bees and bee products dating from 8,000 to 40,000 years ago. Egyptian reliefs in particular suggest the practice of beekeeping as early as 2600 BC. The Nok people could use vessels to heat the beeswax to separate from the honey. On the other hand, the pots themselves could have been used as hives, a practice used in Africa to this day. Or they could be used to make honey-based drinks, such as beer or wine, or for canning meat products. Egyptians drank thick beer. A new study reveals that about 5,800 years ago, the ancient Egyptian elite drank a thick, porridge-like beer. Scientists analyzed fragments of pottery found in Hyrcan Palace, an ancient city and current archaeological site in southern Egypt. They found the remains of beer in 5 flat-bottomed straw-colored vessels. They were probably used as a current beer kegs. The remains of beer were also found in 4 glass-shaped vessels made of thin clay. Presumably, they were used for drinking and serving. As the researchers note, beer at that time was a symbol of status and power, important in elite feasts and funeral rituals. In their work, J.G. Wang, an archaeologist at the University of Dartmouth in New Hampshire, and his colleagues used the method of analyzing microfossil remains. It was carried out on 33 fragments of ceramic vessels. Each of them dates back to a period between 3,800 and 3,600 BC, about 600 years before the reign of the first Egyptian pharaoh. Using their method, the researchers found starch granules, yeast cells, and small amounts of phytoliths, tiny structures in plant tissues that remain even after the rest of the plant has decomposed. They also found beer stone crystals, also known as calcium oxalate. It is a type of chemical scale that today's brewers fight against. The plant material in the residue suggested that the beer wort has been filtered to remove the husk of the cereals. After analyzing the found traces of the drink, the researchers found that it was a thick porridge, a cloudy and sweet brew made from wheat, mostly, barley and grass with a low alcohol content. To date, more than a dozen ancient breweries have been discovered in Hyrcan Palace, capable of producing 390 to 1,000 liters of beer at a time. In the early dynastic period, brewers may have added legumes and tubers as starchy additives to increase fermentable sugars. Thus, the beer became a mixture of several ingredients. Archaeologists discovered a terrifying relic. Britain may have been on the outskirts of the ancient Roman Empire, but even there, executions were a gruesome sight. Archaeologists even believe that lions were sometimes used to kill frightened prisoners, and now they have an artifact to prove this. During 2016 excavations at the site of a Roman house by the University of Leicester, scientists discovered a carved bronze key handle depicting a man fighting a ferocious lion in front of 4 naked and frightened youth. According to research published in Britannia magazine, the scene involves a public execution. The find is named the Friar's Causeway key handle after the place where it was found, and it underscores the brutal nature of Roman rule in this province. Under Roman law, criminals and prisoners of war could be thrown to wild beasts. Such scenes are well documented in the Colosseum in Rome, but this is the first evidence that the practice of using exotic animals to kill prisoners as a form of public entertainment, damnatio ad bestias in Latin, spread to Britain. According to the London Times, Rome received lions from Mesopotamia and North Africa, transporting them to the farthest reaches of the empire in riverboats and carts. It was a little worse than being sentenced to the mines, which is another way the prisoners often met their end. The artist got a tattoo like the Iceman mummy. One is a tattoo parlor, the ideal venue for a contemporary art show. The film features Nicole Wilson's nearly 10-year-old project Otzi, in which she recreated 61 tattoos found on the mummy of the same name over 5,000 years old. She used her own blood instead of ink and documented the healing process by photographing the blemishes slowly fading away. Archaeologists discovered the Otzi the Iceman in 1991 in the Ötztal Alps on the Italian-Austrian border. He died around 3230 BC, probably killed, but his body was remarkably intact, the oldest naturally occurring mummy ever found in Europe. The 33-year-old artist recalls learning about Otzi as a child shortly after its discovery and questioning her teacher's claims that Iceman was her ancestor. As an adult, she was fascinated by his mysterious tattoos, 15 groups of 61 lines that mark various parts of his body. The prehistoric tattoo artist Otzi rubbed crushed charcoal into cuts on his skin instead of ink. The tattoos themselves are very interesting. Scientists think they might have the meaning of acupuncture, but we don't really know it. We cannot ask what the lines, dashes, and hashes meant to this person. The idea to reproduce these signs had become a lifelong goal for the artist. She first got Otzi tattoos in 2012, asking a friend of the tattoo artist. Wilson used blood because she wanted to literally consume the traces of the ancient mummy. Then, in 2015, specialists using multispectral photographic images discovered 2 more tattoos on Otzi's body. Wilson decided to start all over again, this time using a tattoo parlor. Over the years, she has documented the process of getting tattoos and how they disappear from her body. She edited all this into a film and put it up for sale. Remains of a Roman crucifixion victim. Archaeologists in Cambridgeshire, UK, have uncovered perhaps the best preserved physical evidence of a crucifixion, a 1,900-year-old skeleton with a 2-inch iron nail driven into the heel. The Romans used the crucifixion for execution. Between 100,000 and 150,000 people were killed in this way before Emperor Constantine outlawed the practice in 337 AD after converting to Christianity. Crucifixion, as a particularly long-lasting and terrible means of capital punishment, is believed to have been intended for enslaved people and enemies of the state. Most of the victims were likely secured with rope rather than nails, and were probably not officially buried, making it difficult to find physical evidence of their cause of death. The deceased, found in Fenstington, must have been a male between the ages of 25 and 35. His foot was nailed to keep him from writhing in the last moments of his life, while his leg injuries suggest he was held in slavery and shackled to death. Builders in Jerusalem found another body with a nail in 1968, but the body was not whole. Therefore, in the archaeological vault, it was not evidence of a crucifixion. In fact, this is the first time that archaeologists have found physical evidence of such an execution during an archaeological excavation. Ammonite soft tissues 165 million years old. British researchers used the latest 3D imaging technology to analyze the muscles and organs of a well-preserved Ammonite fossil that lived 165 million years ago. Ammonites and cephalopods that died out about 66 million years ago, from which many hard shells remain. Until now, scientists have received information about these disappeared creatures mainly from the shells, since soft tissues are usually not stored for millions of years. But there are exceptions. In 1998, an exceptionally well-preserved Ammonite was discovered in Gloucestershire, which scientists did not immediately cut into pieces, fearing to damage its internal structure. After 20 years, when new visualization technologies appeared, researchers were still able to look under the shell of an ancient creature. We were able to combine X-ray images with neutron imaging data, which allowed us to create a detailed 3D model of the Ammonite's intestines. The model allows us to study the muscles and internal organs of the creature, which is incredible. Now, thanks to the analysis of muscle structure, we know how the Ammonites swam. They pushed out water from the chambers of the sink, creating jet propulsion. Late Iron Age house in Norway. A huge house about 60 meters long from the late Iron Age was discovered in Norway near where a Viking Age ship was found in 2018. It is one of the largest such structures ever discovered in Scandinavia and is among several other structures that archaeologists have stumbled upon in an area they believe was a central site in the late Scandinavian Iron Age around 1,500 years ago. Long and narrow buildings were found in Jellestad, 86 kilometers southeast of Oslo using GPR. In addition to the 60-meter house, the researchers also found 4 other buildings, approximately 30 meters long and 13 meters wide. Scientists know that they are working hard to find out how important Jellestad was during the Iron Age, and new discoveries are helping this. So far, it is assumed that the area wasn't used from the 5th century AD until about 1050 AD. This fall, archaeologists have explored about 40 hectares of territory near the place where the Viking ship was previously discovered using a GPR. This survey is the first part of a research project in which archaeologists, historians, and Viking Age specialists study the development of the region. In the nearby fields, scientists have found several plowed mounds, and although there is nothing surprising in their discovery, since such mounds have already been found earlier, nevertheless this allows you to get a more complete picture of Jellestad and its environs. Scientists explain that they hope in the coming years to better understand the relationship between the ship, buildings, and the elevation of the central locations. Mayan sacred ancient artifacts. Specialists from the National Institute of Anthropology and History have studied the hard-to-reach Chemuel cave located in the Mexican state of Quintana Roo and found rare sacred artifacts of the extinct Mayan civilization inside it. Scientists believe that Chemuel cave was a sacred site for the Maya. Like other caves, the natural formation was associated with the people of ancient civilization with a getaway to the underworld, where, as the Indians believed, deities dwell. Traces of Mayan ritual activities were found in the cave during rescue operations. Then the site was visited by Mexican archaeologists who found several Mayan artifacts here at once. Dating has shown that the items were made between 1200 and 1550 AD. Archaeologists have found fragments of ritual vessels that were located in natural underground niches. It is assumed that the Maya collected cave water with the help of such vessels, which was then used in sacred ceremonies. Such water was considered especially pure and even sacred. In addition, a thicket was discovered which was used for sacrificial offerings to deities. 2 ancient mummies with golden tongues. In Upper Egypt, archaeologists have unearthed 2 tombs with human remains. The tongues of the dead were made of gold. The excavations were carried out by a Spanish archaeological mission from the University of Barcelona at the archaeological site of Albanès. At the entrance to the first tomb, the team found 2 human bodies with golden tongues, and inside was a large limestone sarcophagus with a lid in the shape of a female figure. Research has shown that the tomb was discovered in antiquity and plundered. The second tomb, located next to the first, is intact and completely sealed. It contained a limestone sarcophagus canopy and a collection of 402 Ushapti figurines made of great finds, amulets, and beads. Archaeologists believe that the monument may contain other finds and intend to continue research. Excavations at Albanès have been going on since 1992. This city was once the capital of the 19th nome of Upper Egypt. It is famous for its collection of papyrus with inscriptions in Greek. Rate this video with your thumb up. Thanks to your kind comments, our channel is growing and helping more people learn about the ancient world. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone!